Light the candle. Cup your hands around the flame and listen as it whispers. What does it say to your warm and weathered palms? How closely can you listen without flinching? How quietly can you wait for the questions? Light the candle. Breathe against the flame and watch it ripple. Breathe your fears into it and let them burn into trails of empty gray. Let your air embrace the flame and do not snuff it out. Light the candle. Feel your bones melt like wax, all your hardest parts softening to the touch, all your sharp edges smoothing over. Sink into your stance, your seat, the earth. Let your body be held in the quiet. Light the candle. Fix your eyes on the center of the flame, the center of being. Look into the darkness at the heart of the light. Reach for the contemplative dark in your own heart, for the place where stillness sits, and do not shy away. Light the candle. Settle into the knowledge that this light is the same as all other lights burning in all other candles. Look through the flame into the places you have known and the places you have yet to see. Light the candle. Bring into being the flame that bore us all. Good morning.
Good morning.
We light our candle with the words of Jess Reynolds, and I'm grateful for your presence here today, those in person, those watching and listening online, as we mark another Transgender Day of Remembrance, where we acknowledge all the lives lost across the globe due to transphobic violence over the past 12 months, and hold in our hearts those gone by in years past. It's a chance for us to commit to some of those deepest core values of our faith, acknowledging the inherent worth and dignity of all people. So as we lit the candles with words of Jess Reynolds, we now turn to Esper Bergman for our call to worship. I am doing the best I can. I am hoping I am good enough. I am holding you close as I can, hand cradling your head and breath on your hair, my whole body curved around yours, sheltering you as best I can, trying to remember that I cannot keep you safe, but I can keep you loved. Often in a violent and tumultuous world, we feel powerless, and sometimes we are. But we do have that capacity to witness to others, to their pain and tragedy, and to let them know that amidst it all, they are loved. You are loved. Let us begin our service with our first hymn. All the hymns are in your order of worship today. The Dove Will Fly on Mended Wing by Tim Rayburn.
Creed and race, each human spirit and each face, we celebrate, we dance and sing, the talents here, each one might bring. And take away a new-found song, a new-found voice to echo wrongs, to trust, to heal, to help us all, to stand as one, renewing hope. A people stand, a people call, come gather here, and welcome all. Neither sit back and celebrate that hopelessness is not our fate. And chains will fall, and shackles break. The earth will rise, and power shake. Justice will rise, and freedom sing. Love will fly on bended wing. Religion, culture, creed, and race, each human spirit and each race, we celebrate, we dance and sing, the talents here, each one might bring.
We are here today to acknowledge those lives lost to transphobic violence, to those people in the past year and before, known and unknown, who were victims of hatred, bigotry, and systemic oppression. In opposition to this worldview, we are here to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of all people, recognizing that no one should be mistreated because of their gender identity or expression. We are here to ensure that those who have died have not died in vain. Their legacy, their stories, and their lives must be carried on inside of us. We are here to ensure that love conquers all, to celebrate the wide diversity of all creation, that the world is not a monoculture stifled by static convention. We answer that call to acknowledge, to affirm, to celebrate. Where are we? Where we are here. We are here together, not just those we see within this chapel, but as well with all people who pick up the mantle of love and justice. Amen. We have a responsive reading now, which I haven't, it's not printed in the order of worship because the response is the same each time. It is "We Bear Witness," which is the title as well. There will be a bit of a pause between each sentence, but do follow along after. We people gathered here today on the quest for truth and meaning bear witness. We bear witness to the record of human lives extinguished simply because these people dared to live authentically. We bear witness to the lives and reported deaths of 389 transgender people globally so far this year. We bear witness to the unreported ones, uncounted ones, the unnamed many, whose lives and deaths will only ever be known by the universe. We bear witness. In these times of heightened anxiety, we who are gathered here today reject the teachings of division and ignorance and commit to siding with love against hatred. We bear witness against closed-minded ideologies that excuse evil acts in the name of religion. We bear witness against any administration that seeks to fuel their rise to power by threatening the lives of transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people. We bear witness against systemic power structures that treat transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people as being anything less than human. We bear witness. On this day, we who are queer folk and allies gathered together uphold our object that speaks to the inherent worth and dignity of each person. We bear witness for those transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people who are gathered among us today. We bear witness for those who are allied to the cause of protecting our transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary siblings. We bear witness for those who exist boldly, unapologetically in public space as fully authentic transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people. We bear witness. You are invited to come forward and to light a candle, if you so wish, in honor of anyone you may know or may not know, for whom you wish to hold in your heart. For all those unknown.
The theme of today's lovely service seems to be inclusivity and love. And our daughter Andrea certainly worked hard against all cruelty and loved a lot. The darling girl.
I light the candle for all of us struggling to be authentic and all of those who are suffering or who have suffered when being authentic.
It's a candle for my friend Claire, who's been celebrating being able to access gender-confirming surgery recently, which has been a very long wait for something that can be so life-saving.
So remember that those from us sacred, transgender, genderqueer, non-binary lives do not go unnoticed by us. We bear witness. Sonia mentioned Andrea, who we hold dearly in our hearts, whose poetry we read out, not just today, but on other days as well, for its evocative beauty and insight. And so we turn to her Meditations on Time. They say the past is dead and buried, each moment hallowed for a single use only in the structure of the whole. Blink and you miss it. Each dark chapter of the past consigned full-faced to the dustbin of history or filed away till Judgment Day. But so many times in life, the shadows of the past do resurrect it, as if from nowhere they rear their head. What's further, if we merely rearrange the tables and the chairs, who will dispute? We'll be reliving ancient affairs over again. How I write off dim memories, well and ill as picture postcard snaps, that once pulsing life which did augur of the future slipped between my fingers in the crumbling sands of time, such that I can no longer distinguish what's real and what's illusion. Yet they say of here and now, 'tis the face of reality's finest hour, even the whole being of the blooming existential flower or wilting lily. Yet 'tis recurrently the case, the present has an emptiness, while I try muster faith that the manna of life past will spin again around the carousel to bring us face to face again. But just as plausible that centrifugal forces will fling my vital sustenance hurtling thither into the bowels of deepest, darkest outer space. Meditations on Time by Andrea Waddle. We turn to our second hymn, which is a reflection on the Book of Ruth. I Shall Not Leave From By Your Side by Chris Shelton. I invite Alvin now to come forward with our second reading, telling by Laura Hershey. Sorry.
What you risk telling your story. You will bore them. Your voice will break. Your ink spill and stain your coat. No one will understand. Their eyes become fences. You will park yourself forever on the outside, your differentness, once and for all revealed, dangerous. The names you give to yourself will become epithets. Your happiness will be called bravery or denial. Your sadness will justify their pity. Your fear will magnify their fears. Everything you say will prove something about their God or their economic system. Your feelings, that change day to day, kaleidoscopic, will freeze in place, brand you forever, justify anything that they decide to do with you. Those with power can afford to tell their stories or not. Those without power risk everything to tell their story and must. Someone, somewhere will hear your story and decide to fight, to live, and to refuse compromise. Someone else will tell their own story, risking everything. Thanks.
Thank you, Alvin. Let us return now to a time of prayer. These are the words of Isabel Carter Hayward. We are not automatic lovers of self, others, world, or God. Love does not just happen. We are not love machines, puppets on the strings of a deity called love. Love is a choice, not simply or necessarily a rational choice, but rather a willingness to be present to others without pretense or guile. Love is a conversion to humanity, a willingness to participate with others in the healing of a broken world and broken lives. Love is the choice to experience life as a member of the human family, a partner in the dance of life, rather than as an alien in the world or as a deity above the world, aloof and apart from human flesh. Amen. And so we now enter into a period of silence for reflection, meditation, contemplation, and personal prayer. We turn now to our next hymn, Dan Widham's Blessed Be the Holy Other. Blessed be the Holy Other, who has loved and lost and grieved.
Blessed be the Holy Other, who has loved and lost and grieved. Love's right and not undo. God's love and grace receive. Blessed be the Holy Other, whose all the ignorant and continue that would deny their call. Blessed be the Holy Other, when the Church has done and grown. God made us not just men to belong. Blessed be the Holy Other now, whose sacred word we know, who teach us where and when and how God's telling us to go.
This is our 5th year holding a Transgender Day of Remembrance service in this chapel. It took me a bit aback when I discovered that a colleague had written to a number of ministers asking for sort of information because they wanted to hold a service, and I said, "Oh well, I'll see what I can find." And because I knew we had done it obviously in the past, and I just it hadn't hit me sort of what 5 years worth of reflection would entail. And I'm eternally grateful to Robin and Sonia for proposing this 5 years ago. A lot has changed in that time. I can think of that as well in terms of my own self. A sense of feeling a bit more educated, reading up on material. It was a huge shock, that first service. I recall learning about sort of gender dysmorphia and the sort of legal and medical challenges that transgender people face. So I feel like I have encountered more on that side, more on the elements of the history, though I still definitely have a long way to go. And as much knowledge as I might acquire and place within my brain, there is always the gap of my own lived experience, which tells its own story, but is decidedly not a transgender story. The more I engage with the material in a strange way, the more I am aware of my cisness, of my residing without the challenge of the experience of how I feel inside and how I present on the outside. I understand with fluidity that might change, but for now, I do not see that as a challenge that I possess. And as such, I consider it a privilege in that sense of something that is detached and can lead to a separation if I am not careful. So there's been a lot of changes for myself in my education. Our church as well has learned a lot, has changed a lot in those 5 years. We have finally got the new flags up on the door, just in time for a new flag with the intersex symbol to be becoming a bit more sort of standard. So we'll hold on to our pride, progress, and trans flag for the time being. Nationally, the Unitarians have instituted training on the welcoming of LGBTQ folks. And the largest news, I suppose, for us in the past year has been the motion affirming transgender rights, particularly the right to self-identification at this past General Assembly. So our church as well, both individually and collectively, has made steps forward, and steps, I hope, in a more loving and compassionate direction. Which leads then to, of course, the third segment of change, and that's society's change. And here, things are a bit more uncertain. There is risks of steps back. We see the encroachment of far-right political activism, very organized, very leaning towards fascist elements, which challenge at the outset trans lives, and then further will imperil all people. Anyone who seeks to be gender non-conforming but still might hold on to how they were defined at birth will be at risk. And it feels, and up until recently, I spent quite a bit of time on Twitter, which is its own sort of ecosystem, but it had felt that 2015 was called the year of trans visibility, when people such as Laverne Cox stepped, sort of into the limelight with Orange is the New Black, when other TV programs like Transparent and conversations about sort of trans voices in the media was really amplified and was really brought forward, and seemed like a year of hope and promise and possibility. And at times that feels very far away now. But still, I said uncertain. The society was uncertain because there is still plenty of evidence, plenty of polling, and plenty of support that we can find for trans people in society at large. Although those voices against trans people are, as I said, organized and manage to get their word out effectively into the media, into the ecosphere that is filled with so much other bigotry that it can feel overpowering, and it is chipping away at some of the reserve. But we still see support and love and care and compassion for trans people. So I have changed a lot in 5 years. Our chapel has moved forward in 5 years, and society still at times feels as if it's on a precipice, though might be healthier than we acknowledge as well. So those are the things that have changed. But what remains the same? As always, the inherent worth and dignity of all people, that remains the same. That unwavering commitment to our individuals here in the city and beyond, as well as our capacity to engage with one another in conversation, to challenge ourselves, to learn new material, and to share in that love that is abounding throughout the world. If we seek it, we will find it. We will find that love. Amen. A few notices before we sing our final hymn. Next week is our Advent and Toy service. So we have a shared meal afterwards. Please do sign up for that and let us know what you're bringing, as well as what dietary requirements you might have, so we can make sure that everyone is cared and catered for. And that's, of course, next Sunday. We collect toys as well as food for the Wood Street Mission, which goes to children, at this sort of Christmas time, to make sure that their Christmases are merry and bright. They do ask for new toys rather than used. But if you do have used toys, we can find a place, that are sort of cluttering up your space. We can find a place for them as well. They will not go unheeded or unwanted. So that's Sunday, and then the previous Friday, so this upcoming Friday, is our Anthems for Advent, our Friday lunchtime recital, which highlights contributions from the congregation and the chapel. So please do join us. That's at 1 o'clock. We are doing a collection for Afro Cats, which is an asylum charity that uses our space. And we're very grateful to have them speaking about the hard work that they do, and that we can support them in this way. So that's 1 o'clock on Friday the 25th, and then Advent is on Sunday the 27th. Are there any announcements or notices from the congregation? Let us then sing our final hymn, Love Astounding. Thank you, Ruin, for the music. Thank you, Joe, for the IT. Alvin, for the reading. Do we have anyone to help with the tea and coffee? Thank you, Anne, for the tea and coffee that we are about to enjoy. And thank you to all of you for creating and sharing worship today. I forgot one notice, which is that the Manchester's Transgender service is tonight at 5:15 in Sackville Gardens, so we hope you can join us there. We close with the words of Natalie Wynn. Real acceptance has to be built on real understanding. Amen.